In this tutorial I'm going to take a look at some of the advanced options for graphing, particularly with the dot plots, but these apply to most of the graphs. If I go to dot plot and choose the simple dot plot that we did in the previous tutorial, you'll find that Minitab will actually let you put in a number of variables, not just one, even though it's a simple dot plot. If I click OK on, then by default Minitab will usually spit you out two separate dot plots. Simple one. So we've got the selling price here and the asking price here. Now what we can do, if we go to the multiple graphs tab, we can ask it to do those two graphs in separate panels on the same graph. So now we have the two plots together on one graph. Alternatively, what we might want to do is do a multiple Y's, and I'll show you what the difference is here between these two. So if I put in selling price and asking price with a multiple Y's choice, by default you're going to get them on the same plot already, and the difference here is that they are now both drawn on the same scale. So if you go to a simple dot plot but put two variables in and ask them to be drawn on the same page, you're going to get literally two separate plots stuck together, and they each have their own X scale. So in this case, where I might be interested in comparing how the asking price may be offset from the actual selling price, I'm going to want them on exactly the same scale so I can look at the range of the data, and I can't see that with the simple one. So this is the multiple Y's, and we see that the two plots are together but they're both on the same scale, and this is where I can see that the asking price is slightly higher than the selling price. Now one of the other options we might want to use is to split these dot plots up by groups. So I'll get rid of these. Now I can do my simple 1Y with groups. Take that out. I'm just going to look at the selling price and split this up by region. And you'll see here we've got region along the y-axis, selling price along the x-axis, and all these plots are on the same scale. So if we have a look up here, we see that the most expensive houses come from region 2, and again if we wave the mouse over it, it'll tell us which row number that is and what the bin is as well. So the data for region 2 seems to be quite spread out, whereas the selling prices for region 3 seem to be fairly consistent. We seem to have most of the houses in region 4, and we don't seem to have any very expensive houses in region 4. Now the only difficulty with looking at lots of dot plots together, and you need to be careful with this, is if you have a lot of data in one of the categories and not the other, you'll see that the category that doesn't have a lot of data in it gets squished up, and sometimes it would be nice just to have a little bit of space there so you could see what was really going on. I wouldn't want to make dots much more complicated than this because they do get very difficult to read, but we'll have a quick look at the multiple Y's with groups just to show you how it works. Whether or not you actually use this is up to you and up to what your data looks like. I'm not going to have a look at stacking. I find that gets just a little bit complicated to read. So multiple Y's, I might be interested in the selling price and the asking price, and in this case I'm going to split it up by pool just because there's only 2 categories in pool, whereas we've got 4 categories for the region. I've got these 2 options here that we had with the other plots that we've done, graph the variables displayed outermost on scale or innermost on scale. Again, if you're not sure which one to use, try it both ways and see which one makes sense for the data that you find. Here I've got the selling price pool no and yes, and then the asking price pool no and yes. So let's try it the other way and see if that makes more sense. And whether it makes sense or not depends entirely on what you're hoping to read out of the graph. So if I'm looking to see what the difference is between the selling and the asking price, depending on whether or not they've got a pool, I might prefer this graph. But it's possible for different data you would want it the other way around. So there's no right answer, it depends on what you're trying to look at.